Why does it happen that millions of people have studied the manifestation of their desires, engaged in the practice of affirmations, and yet remain in the same cycles of disappointment? Why does the promise of limitless creation so often turn into collapse? At the very core of manifestation lies a hidden, forbidden enigma. This is an element that has been ignored, suppressed, or misinterpreted for centuries. And it is this missing component that determines the difference between a life of waiting and a life of unfolding. People have been told to focus, to visualize, to desire with all their hearts. The paradox is that the very way most people attempt to manifest guarantees, they will never succeed. Imagine it like a locked safe. You are told that inside is treasure, wealth, love, purpose, freedom. You are given a key that looks convincing: affirmations, wishful thinking, lists of goals. You insert it into the lock. You turn it with hope, but the door does not open. You try again, harder, with more feeling, with greater intensity. But nothing changes. Frustration builds. You begin to think, maybe the safe is empty. Maybe manifestation is a lie. But here is the hidden truth. The safe was never locked. The key was never the main thing. The door opens only when you stop rattling it with effort and instead learn to shift to the frequency that unlocks it without the slightest exertion. This is the enigma. The true science of manifestation is not about force. It does not relate to demanding, and it is not even about desire. It is about state. The world rarely tells you this because it is inconvenient. Desire sells better than discipline. Techniques seem easier than identity. People will prefer the promise that writing their goals on paper will summon reality, rather than confront the truth that reality only reflects who they are in the current moment. The puzzle remains hidden not because of its complexity, but because it is too simple for a mind addicted to complication. You have been trained to believe, if something is not working, the answer is to add more. More visualizations, more rituals, more affirmations. But more of the wrong key will not open the door. The missing element is not quantity. It is quality, coherence, alignment. Without it, no amount of wishing can change the field. This is why so many feel caught in a cruel paradox. The harder they try, the further the goal seems to slip away. Like chasing a shadow at sunset, the very pursuit guarantees the distance is maintained. They are told, believe it, and it will appear. Yet, beneath the surface of their belief lurk doubt, fear, and lack. And the quantum field does not respond to words. It responds to vibration. You can repeat, I am wealthy, 1,000 times. But if the core of your being vibrates lack, the field will reflect lack back to you. You can visualize love every night, but if the frequency within you is still emitting unworthiness, the field collapses into even greater loneliness. The hidden science of manifestation reveals this cruel precision. The universe is ruthlessly honest. It does not give you what you say, it gives you what you are. And now, here is the twist that most people have never heard. What appears to be a failure in manifestation is actually proof of its perfection. The reason you are not receiving what you have asked for is not because the process is broken, but because it is flawless. Every delayed outcome, every unanswered prayer, every moment of disappointment is proof that the field is operating exactly as designed. It is reflecting the coherence or incoherence of your state. And if this seems heavy, it is also liberating, because it means the power was never outside of you. It means you are not at the mercy of luck, divine mood, or blind chance. The only missing element has always been coherence. But here is the open question that pulls us deeper. If manifestation is not about desire, but about state, what exactly is this state that collapses reality into form? What is the mechanism that converts infinite potential into concrete experience? Science whispers its answer through the equations of quantum mechanics. Mysticism sings the same answer through the ancient teachings of being. Both point to a hidden architecture of reality that is waiting to be remembered. And once you understand it, the enigma is no longer forbidden. It becomes the most natural truth of all. At the cutting edge of science exists a principle so strange that even the most brilliant physicists struggle with it. The world you see around you, solid, stable, familiar, does not exist in that form until it is observed. Prior to observation, everything is only potential, a flickering cloud of possibilities. Particles vibrate in multiple states simultaneously. This is the essence of Werner Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. You cannot know both the position and the momentum of a particle at the same time, because until it is observed, it exists in probabilities, not certainties. In other words, reality is not fixed. It is fluid, malleable, and waiting for the observer to decide which version becomes real. Think about that. The chair you are sitting on, the room you are in, your very breath, all of it exists as potential until your consciousness collapses it into form. This is not spiritual poetry. This is the architecture of quantum physics. Reality does not pre-exist as some rigid machine. It emerges at the moment of observation. And this is where manifestation enters the story, because the question is not whether the field responds to observation. It always responds. The question is, what state of observation are you bringing to the field? If you are observing from a state of lack, the wave collapses into more lack. If you are observing from a state of fear, the wave collapses into more reason to be afraid. If you are observing from a state of wholeness, the wave collapses into evidence of abundance. The field is like a perfect mirror that has no choice but to reflect the frequency of the observer. This is why the teaching that you must embrace the feeling of the wish fulfilled is not philosophy, but physics in action. The state of the observer is not something extra. It is the blueprint that gives the field the instruction on how to collapse. And therein lies the secret most people miss. Desire itself is not the observer. Hope is not the observer. Even visualization, if it is rooted in longing, is not the observer. The true observer is the state of being that you embody in the moment of awareness. The field does not care about your words. It cares about your coherence. You can say you are abundant while vibrating lack. You can pray for love while vibrating unworthiness. The words dissolve into static, but the state is always broadcasting purely. This is why so many manifestation attempts fail. They are trying to collapse one frequency while broadcasting another. Science confirms what the mystics have spoken about for centuries. Studies of quantum entanglement show that particles separated by vast distances can still influence each other instantaneously, as if they are connected outside of space and time. The same is true for you and your desires. The version of reality you seek already exists in the field, entangled with you. But entanglement does not mean inevitability. The collapse only happens when you embody the state that is congruent with that version of reality. Until then, it remains a probability, shimmering just out of your grasp. This is the true meaning of the divine state. It is the frequency of wholeness, a state where nothing within you contradicts the desired outcome. In this state, the observer and the observed are indistinguishable. You are no longer trying to get something. You already are the vibration of having it. The field has no choice but to collapse accordingly because coherence has been achieved. And once coherence is achieved, manifestation is not an act of effort, but a byproduct of alignment. But here is the enigma that remains unresolved. If coherence is the secret, how do you create it? How do you move from fragmented thoughts, from stress, from doubt, into the state that perfectly matches the desired outcome? The mind alone cannot do it. Thought is too fragmented, too unstable. The missing ingredient is not in mental effort, but in physiological harmony. When the heart, the brain, and the body align into one coherent signal. And this is where the hidden science becomes visible, because modern research has already proven how coherence can be created and measured. The question now is, are you ready to learn the missing ingredient? For centuries, people have believed that if they think hard enough, pray with enough words, or focus with enough intensity, the universe will answer. But thought by itself is too fragile, too scattered, too easily hijacked by fear and doubt. You can think about abundance in one moment and the next moment spiral into worry. The signal becomes unstable, like a radio jumping between stations, producing only static. The field cannot clearly respond to a fragmented broadcast. This is why so many manifestation attempts feel inconsistent, because the missing ingredient has always been coherence. Coherence means alignment. It is when the signals of the heart, the brain, and the body harmonize into a single rhythm. Science shows us that when this happens, the electromagnetic field generated by the heart expands and becomes more organized, and the brain begins to synchronize with it. In this state, the entire body vibrates as one coherent signal, rather than as disjointed parts. Mystics described this thousands of years ago as union with the divine, while modern researchers call it heart-brain coherence. Different language, same truth. Coherence is the hidden ingredient that translates potential into reality. Consider what happens without coherence. The heart beats erratically. The nervous system is flooded with stress hormones. The mind is darting between past regrets and future fears. Even if you visualize abundance, your body is still emitting signals of survival. The field does not collapse according to what you want. It collapses according to what you are. A scattered state collapses into scattered results. A coherent state collapses into a coherent reality. This is why gratitude, love, and presence are such powerful states. They bring the system into order, projecting clarity into the quantum field. But coherence is not merely emotional. It is physical, measurable, and profoundly practical. Scientific studies show that when people experience feelings of gratitude or compassion, their heart rhythms become smooth and balanced. The brain synchronizes with this calm rhythm, creating an ideal state for perception and creativity. In this state, the body sends a single clear signal instead of mixing fear and hope. It radiates one stable frequency, just like a symphony playing in harmony. The field of reality responds the same way. This also explains why affirmations sometimes do not work. If you repeat "I am wealthy" while your body still carries tension, the message is inconsistent with your inner state. The field mirrors the vibration, not the words. When coherence is present, speech becomes unnecessary. The signal is complete. That is why some people manifest easily, while others keep struggling. The difference lies not in chance, but in internal alignment. Coherence. A body in harmony with the heart in harmony with the mind, and the mind aligned with the feeling of already having. If coherence is the key, how can it be cultivated intentionally? Yes, it can be trained through steady breathing, focus, and awareness. These practices transform theory into direct experience. Knowledge alone is incomplete. Embodiment turns understanding into change. Coherence is not mysticism. It is a simple, repeatable process that unites mind, heart, and body into one clear rhythm. Find a quiet moment. Sit or lie comfortably, breathe naturally, and let your attention settle. Each calm breath reconnects you with potential. Each gentle exhale brings alignment. The body relaxes, the heartbeat steadies, and the mind becomes still. And gradually, the signal you are sending to the field shifts from scattered noise to a coherent vibration. Repeat this rhythm for several minutes. At first, your thoughts may wander, your body may resist, but the breath will pull you back. Each cycle layers upon the previous one, stacking coherence into your state. Soon, you will feel the shift not as an idea, but as a presence, a subtle hum of alignment moving through your body. The nervous system calms, the heart expands. The mind is less like restless chatter and more like a still lake reflecting clarity. This is the ritual of embodiment in action. Simple, accessible, yet powerful enough to collapse potential into form. The real magic is that the ritual is not a performance. It is identity training. Every time you breathe this way, you are teaching your body what coherence is. You are training yourself to remember alignment. Over time, coherence becomes not a practice, but your natural state. You stop doing coherence and start living coherence. This is the true meaning of the words to embrace the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is not about pretense. It is about rehearsal, until the rehearsal becomes reality. And now comes the moment to solidify this, not just in your body, but in your community. The comment you write is not just words. It is a signal, a public declaration, a ripple in the field that others will feel. Type in the comments, "I live in coherence." Every comment amplifies the collective resonance. Every word multiplies the vibration. What you embody alone is powerful, but what we embody together creates a wave that spreads further than any of us can see. Yet one hurdle remains that threatens to undo even the most powerful practice: the cycle of waiting, of looking to the external world to see if it has changed, of spiraling back into doubt when the mirror reflects too long. To truly live in the divine state, this cycle must be broken once and for all, and that is what we will now reveal. How to dismantle the trap of delayed reality so that coherence becomes not just a practice but a permanent way of being. One of the most seductive illusions in manifestation is the idea of waiting. You practice the ritual, you say your affirmation, you visualize your dream, and then you wait. You look outward for proof, scanning your circumstances like a scientist peering into a microscope, seeking evidence that the universe has responded. Days pass, weeks pass, sometimes months. When the external does not change as fast as you hoped, doubt creeps in. You begin to think maybe the ritual failed, maybe you did not focus enough, maybe you are unworthy. This is the trap of delayed reality. The belief that manifestation happens in the future, not in the present. The truth is, the waiting itself generates the delay. The moment you embody the frequency of waiting, the field reflects that with more waiting. The future becomes a horizon you never reach, always one step further away. You think you are practicing patience, but in a quantum sense you are broadcasting deferral. And the universe, flawless in its honesty, collapses reality to reflect precisely that. This is why so many people feel stuck in cycles of longing. They are not actually manifesting their desire. They are practicing delay, disguised as hope. Think of it like tuning a radio. You do not ask the station to play your song. You do not sit in silence hoping that the music will eventually push through the static. You turn the dial until you hit the frequency, and instantly the music flows. There is no delay in the broadcast, only a delay in the tuning. Manifestation works the same way. The music of your desired reality is already playing. The divine state is already broadcasting. The question is not whether the station exists. The question is, are you tuned to it right now? This is why every so-called manifestation failure is actually proof of success. Every time you have experienced lack, disappointment, or delay, it was evidence that the field responded with absolute precision to your state. You were tuned in, but to the wrong frequency. The mirror was not broken. It was flawless. The disappointment you felt was not a punishment. It was feedback. And once you reframe failure as feedback, you gain the power to shift. The trap of delayed reality dissolves the moment you understand that manifestation is immediate, because the state is immediate. Science supports this in startling ways. Studies of perception show that the brain does not passively record reality. It actively predicts it. Your nervous system is constantly projecting expectations onto the environment, shaping what you see, what you notice, and what you attract. This means your future is not waiting to unfold. It is being constructed moment by moment by the state you inhabit. The body is not a passenger. It is the builder. The field is not an external force. It is a real-time responsive mirror. To live in delay is to construct delay. To live in coherence is to construct coherence. This is why people can briefly touch the divine state in meditation, and then lose it when they open their eyes. The moment they revert to checking the mirror, asking, "Has it worked yet?" they leave coherence and return to waiting. They fall into the trap of delayed reality without even noticing. The challenge is not to access the divine state. The challenge is to remain there when life tests you, when circumstances appear unchanged, when the mirror has not yet caught up. To live the hidden science of manifestation, you must reverse the sequence. Stop waiting for the proof before you embody. Embody first, and the proof inevitably follows. And this leads us to the final revelation, the vision that closes the loop. If the field reflects the state instantaneously, then true mastery is not in rituals, techniques, or endless effort. It is in the constant state of being in the divine state, where coherence is not something you practice sometimes, but who you are in every moment. The question that remains is this: how do you move beyond practice into permanence? This is the secret we are about to reveal. The way to live the hidden science of quantum manifestation every single day. The hidden science of quantum manifestation is hidden not because it is complex. It is hidden because it is simple. And simplicity is the last thing the busy mind accepts. The mind craves complexity, endless steps, long rituals, secret formulas. But the truth has been here all along. Reality collapses according to your state of being. Not your words, not your waiting, not your desperate attempts to convince the field. The divine state is not an achievement. It is a remembrance. It is not something you strive for. It is something you live from. To live in the divine state every day means to reverse the order of how you have been taught to live. Most people allow the external world to dictate their internal state. If the bank account looks full, they feel secure. If the relationship seems stable, they feel worthy. If the body is healthy, they feel grateful. But this is the inversion of the true mechanics. Results are reflections, not sources. When you let the reflections control your state, you become a slave to the mirror. The hidden science asks you to reverse that order. Choose coherence first. Choose embodiment first. And the mirror has no choice but to follow. This is not denial. This is creation. Science tells us that perception itself is predictive, that your brain and nervous system are actively constructing the future you experience. Spirituality tells us the same in a different language. Embrace the feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you live this way, the future is no longer delayed. It unfolds with you. With every breath comes alignment, every thought becomes coherence. Every action becomes embodiment. You stop practicing manifestation and start living it. And here is the liberation. Permanence does not mean perfection. Challenges still arise. Life still tests. The world still changes. But in the divine state, you no longer lose yourself when the mirror seems slow to reflect. You remain coherent. You breathe. You embody. And the field eventually aligns. The test of permanence is not whether the storms stop coming, but whether you remain centered when they do. To live the hidden science every day means to refuse to be pulled back into waiting, into longing, into lack. It means choosing coherence again and again until it becomes the only language your body speaks. This is not just an individual practice. It is a collective movement. Every person who embodies coherence amplifies the resonance in the field, making it easier for others to remember. Every breath you take in coherence contributes a ripple beyond yourself. This is why community matters. This is why anchoring your state through ritual and shared declaration matters. The hidden science is not a personal trick. It is a universal law. And as more of us live it daily, the mirror of the world begins to reflect a new frequency for all. Remember that the hidden science of quantum manifestation is not about discovering something outside of you. It is about remembering who you have always been. You are not waiting for the door to open. You are the door. You are not asking the mirror to change. You are the change. And when you live this every day, not as effort, but as identity, the universe has no choice but to reflect the truth of who you have become. Coherence embodied. The divine state unfolded.